Hello there, you beautiful people. My name is Willow, and welcome back to Supreme Commander Forged Alliance Forever for a 4v4 team matchmaker game played on the map Adaptive Diversity. And oh my lord, is it good to say those words again. I have been terribly sick, but I have recovered, and we are going to be back with a lot of action in this December. And let's get into player introductions, starting with the blue team on the western side and ending with the red team on the eastern side. And we'll start in the north with the Cyan Aeon, best color and faction, going first land, and his name is Beholder 33. Then we can move on to a much less appealing faction, but a very nice shade of blue. It is, of course, a Seraphim player going by the name of Caver. And then we can move on down to the south with the dark blue Aeon. So happy to see so many people picking the right faction on Team Blue, and his name is Redox. And then last but not least for Team 1, we have ourselves a purple Cybran going first land by the name of Radek 33. Maybe him and Beholder are friends or something. They got 33 in both of their names. As we move on to the eastern team, the red team with the yellow Cybran going first land, and his name is Turbo Laser Wolf, which is, I think, Turbo Laser Wolf, but it's with an O, so Turbo Laser Wolf. And then up to the north of him, we have a bright red Cybran going first land. 2 Cybrans so far for Team 2. And he is, of course, going by the name of the Mighty Gorgon. And he is walking his way towards the middle, as we have a maroon Seraphim going first land by the name of Axin Saxon. And then last but not least for the entire game, an orange UEF going first land, and his name is Broker. And with that, we have all of our players introduced. We can talk about the map. We have a cool 14.4 thousand mass on the map. I really hate that this is the new solution for all of the casters, because, you know, the advanced reclaim mod not working is very, very sad. But this is like, it doesn't come out properly. Like, if I go to any of these players and then go back to observer, it bugs out. But that will be okay. Enough complaining out of me, as we can talk about what these players are up to on this beautiful map. We do have these 2 pawns where these players will either be able to abuse hover, or maybe we'll even see some navy, as over here to the southeast we have a couple of scouts being killed by the comms of Redox and Radek, respectively. And of course, we're looking at pretty big reclaim areas right here. It's been Turbo Laser Wolf. He's managed to grab up most of the reclaim there. And over here, it seems as though Beholder has managed to grab that. Speaking of reclaim numbers, Broker sitting on a mighty 1.3 thousand, Mighty Gorgon right behind him at 1.3 thousand as well. And everybody else below 1,000. So Team 2, Team Red, doing much, much better on reclaim overall. Maybe that's going to be a little bit counterbalanced by, I don't know, maybe somebody on Team 1 is getting a lot of mechs upgrades, but enough speculation about the economy. Let's look at what these players are doing right here and right now. We, of course, have Turbo Laser Wolf currently getting gunned down by the commanders of Radek 33 and Redox, who are just trying their damnedest to kill this yellow Cybran ACU, but the Mighty Gorgon showing up strong and proud, protecting his Cybran brethren, as Redox currently now under threat into the yellow as far as his HP is concerned. Radek 33 still standing strong, willing to tank a little bit of damage. Lots of Cybrans down here, and I think we might see a Cybran-shaped explosion if these players continue to be so damn aggressive towards each other. And of course, with that, we're looking at a very spicy early game. Overall reclaim, it does seem as though Broker has a lot more to reclaim still. Also, a lot of reclaim down here in the southwest for both Radek and Redox, to grab up Beholder and Broker, currently sitting here in the middle having a bit of a staring contest. Meanwhile, down in the south, we have a PD, actually a third on the way. Nope, that's a Seeker. Thrown up now for Redox. He's decided that this area is his and he doesn't care what you say about it. He will take it. And those static defenses going to be very, very useful for the blue team as we move forward. Up here in the north, Beholder and Broker going at it with their giant guns, just hot and heavy ACU on ACU action. Somebody call the ratings board because this is getting out of hand. They let children watch such unadulterated... I don't know where I'm going with all of this. I'm getting back into the groove of casting and all the crazy shit that I usually say. Just enjoy. As Speed and Range now on the way for Axon Saxon. I really like that name, but I really hate its faction. But Speed and Range is on the way. That means I think that's going to be our first major upgrade finishing. And what were you looking at? Oh, you were telling us that the comm was there. All right, cool. I never use these camera pings. I don't even really know how to do them. Somebody in the comments, tell me how to do camera pings so I can annoy my teammates. But, of course, air going on right now. We have a lot of scouts out in the sky right now for Beholder, and his team is indeed getting a ton of intel from that. Meanwhile, the enemy team knows very, very little. We do have a scout out from Mighty Gorgon that's going to start showing up and giving a little bit more intel over to the red team. But down here in the southeast, we have Turbo, Laser Wolf, and the, of course, two blue comms, Radek and Redox, still down here fighting it out. Mighty Gorgon setting himself up a Tracer anti-air with some PD, with some walled up PD sections to protect it. And Turbo Laser Wolf does not want Radek having any point defense over here, but he is going to start eating a little bit of damage as Turbo has to fall back. And that one PD going to survive at 203 HP. Meanwhile, down here to the south, Speed and Range now on the way for Caver. Axon Saxon walking forward with his Speed and Range upgrade, and that could be a huge threat on towards Caver, who is he's just very sadly behind. He doesn't have the upgrade, and when you don't have the upgrade and the other person does, you generally gotta just take that bullet to the face and lose some map control, or worse, just die to it. But of course, that's going to be a little bit lucky here for Caver, as Saxon, he has decided that he's going to be Axon down south. He wants to put some pressure down onto Redox and Radek 33. Meanwhile, in the north, we have Range now on the way. Speed already finished up for Beholder, and Damage and Range on the way for Broker. Does seem as though Beholder going to be able to get himself set up with both upgrades well before the upgrade finishes for Broker, but he does have a few units that he could use to buffer for protection while he gets that upgrade finished off. Meanwhile, down to the south, Redox under a huge threat because of this gun speed and range comm, and it does seem as though the dark blue Aeon may just be ejected here at the sub 10 minute mark. And then we're going to be seeing the commander of Radek 33. Will he be able to get out of this with the combined pressure coming out from the Mighty Gorgon, Turbo, Laser Wolf, and of course Axon Saxon? It may just be too much as Radek falls back. He does have 0 upgrades on the comm. Axon Saxon gonna show up with his own commander and just continue to push back the units coming out from Caver, trying to help out there. And down here to the south, Radek now under threat of just dying to the units coming out from Mighty Gorgon. If he can mess up the pathing here and get his comm within range, Radek's only chance will be trying to get to the water, but maybe that won't even be enough. He's taking a lot of damage now from all of these Mantis coming out from that red Cybern player, and he just got his pathing messed up a little bit. Mighty Gorgon just needs to get within range, but Radek may not even be able to survive past that. That speed and range upgrade onto Mighty Gorgon slices down a second player from the blue team, and now we're looking at a 2 versus 4 as the map is gonna open up and become very difficult for the Western team to manage. Now we have 3 bases in the hands of Beholder, who is basically gonna have to fight on the entire map. He's playing a 1v3, but no, He is, in fact, going to give that base over to Caver. So now Caver is responsible for the entire southern side of the map. Meanwhile, Beholder, he's going to start trying to put some pressure down on towards Broker, who is at half HP, trying to get Nano Repair. He's going to eat a lot of damage while getting Nano Repair, but he is going to be able to finish that up. And 5,000 HP and falling now for him, as Beholder is going to have to start falling back here in the middle. A few units out of Caver getting killed off by that Commander coming out from Axon Saxon. Speed and range now on the way for Turbo Laser Wolf, and speed and range finished up with for Mighty Gorgon means that he'll be able to start pushing down into this area relatively soon. Up here to the north, Beholder still trying to get some damage done, but Broker walking into a T1 PD. Nano is good, but 50 HP a second, that is not going to save you from a PD very much whatsoever. As Axon Saxon continuing to get some kills with that Commander. And Beholder 33 doing well for themselves, has managed to get some Seraphim technology and is starting to throw out some Zooies along with Auroras and getting some damage done up here to the north. Seems as though a T2 Mex did indeed go down to some Zooies. Another Mex down here going down. It's just trying to get some periphery damage down onto Broker is Beholder. And down to the south, things are very calm. Whoa! That UEF Commander, I thought Broker was better off. That may have been a legitimate Control K. Because I didn't think he was under any threat. There's no, like, tactical missiles. There's nothing in the air that would suggest to me that there was a snipe. Did Beholder just walk him down? He had Nano Repair and he had a bunch of army, and there's not really any army here for Beholder. I think that was a Control K. I could have been wrong. Tactical missile now on the way for Caver. Wants to get some damage down on here for the southern side of the map. And now we have the Commander of Axon Saxon trying to come to the north, but a whole bunch of Zooies are going to start impeding his progress of taking over this secondary base, as Beholder is going to be able to walk forward very soon here. Beholder does need to be careful, though, with the few triads that have been thrown up over here. Could be a bit dangerous. A lot of T1 power generators going to be going down to these few Zooies making their way into the back line. Meanwhile, down to the south, tactical missile 60% done. Mighty Gorgon and Turbo Laser Wolf going to start pushing in towards the base of Caver. And Caver is starting to cave. His unit's not really holding up very well here against the overwhelming force coming out from Turbo Laser Wolf and Mighty Gorgon. But tactical missile is going to finish up momentarily, and once that's done, he'll be able to get some very juicy damage down onto these main bases, most likely. Caver continuing to fire with that comm, does have speed and range, so we'll be able to start working on cleaning this up. Turbo Laser Wolf and Mighty Gorgon pushing in. Turbo Laser Wolf has a huge contingent of T1 units that are now pushing their way into the former base of Radek 33. As the base that used to belong to Redox is just getting dismantled by the units coming out from Mighty Gorgon. The commander of Turbo Laser Wolf also pushing forward. Up here in the north, we have a bit of a fight going on between the comm of Beholder and the comm of Axon Saxon, and Axon Saxon may just be going down. Beholder may just be striking down foes. Anybody in front of him seems to be put on the chopping block. I'm still not sure that Broker died to actual commander on commander action, but that is still a possibility. He very well could have. Meanwhile, down here in the south, it would seem that Caver is just collapsing to the combined efforts of Mighty Gorgon, and honestly, mostly Turbo Laser Wolf, who is just coming down with a lot of units and putting a lot of pressure. Mighty Gorgon had a decent contingent of units as well, but they weren't the main thing caused an issue here for Caver. As right now, Caver losing 2 entire bases, going to be in a worse position, but has managed to use that increased income to get a T3 Mex online, is still sitting on a very strong economy, has gotten T3 Air online as well. Going to be something we have to keep our eyes on. Nano Repair now on the way for Axon Saxon, and that's the Seraphim Nano Repair, much stronger than that UEF Nano Repair we saw earlier. And of course, we also have the comm of Turbo Laser Wolf still pushing forward, still trying to get some damage done. If they can manage to expand down here to this southern side of the map, this could be huge. If we could see a possible mass economic advantage for Turbo Laser Wolf in particular, just throwing a bunch of engineers down here, grabbing these T1 mechs can really be kind of a blast furnace for your economy. If you can get a whole bunch of your enemies' mechs, just throw them up. They don't even need to get to T2. Those T1s will do enough for you. Not to mention the overwhelming reclaim just in this area alone. 10,000 in where these two bases were, and that is now contested territory. Could be held by Turbo Laser Wolf or could be held by Caver. We'll have to see. Meanwhile, in the north, Beholder is beholding himself an attack down on towards Axon Saxon, who has gotten some T2 UEF land online. We're seeing some pillars, but Beholder sitting on 54 kills and rising as his commander just refuses to get away from this front, just continuing to lay down the pain as Nano Repair is finished up. T2 now finishing up for Axon Saxon, 92 HP a second. That's going to be very significant here. And we come into a bit of a lull. We do still have some periphery fighting. We have a few raids going on, but nobody really throwing everything at each other. Let's go ahead and check on the attacking as far as Team 2 is concerned. We know that we have like T2 land, T3 air, T2 land for everybody over here. I mean, Beholder doesn't have T3 air, but still. And on the eastern side, we're seeing T2 land out from Mighty Gorgon. No teching really going on for Turbo Laser Wolf. We have Tech 2 Seraphim and UEF land up here for Axon Saxon, as well as Tech 2 on the commander, which he's going to go ahead and use to throw up some Utashala point defenses. Overall economies, though, Team 2 is massively ahead with nearly, if not more, than a 50 mass a second lead at any given time. And most of that is going to be thrown on towards the shoulders of Axon Saxon and Mighty Gorgon, as Turbo Laser Wolf sitting on a very paltry 51 mass a second versus 81 and 75 for his two combined teammates. Beholder and Caver also sitting on good economies. That entire mass differential is basically Turbo Laser Wolf, and you can see how much he's being able to get done over here. We have a bunch of reclaim now going on down here. Speaking of reclaim, how is that going? We have a strap bomber out onto the field for Caver. Let's go ahead and track that, as already managed to kill off at least two T2 mechs and is going to continue on to kill off more, as another two T2 mechs and a bunch of T2 land factories gonna go down, already past its first rank of veterancy and on towards its second, as it continues to drop bombs down onto the opposing side. Turbo Laser Wolf is sitting on the highest reclaim value, but he's really going to need more as his base is getting dismantled by this Seraphim T3 strategic bomber, and it is going to go down to maybe these interceptors very soon. Does manage to go down to some AA and interceptors, but that's going to be a very healthy run, knocking down some of this economic advantage. But Turbo Laser Wolf just passing 10,000 reclaim, everybody else sitting at around 6,000, maybe 6.5 for any of these players, and that does knock down the economies of the other side a little bit. It brings that mass differential from 50 down to closer to 40-ish at any given time, but that is still painful. More strap bombers coming out, more economic damage going down. 14 kills onto this one and nearly 2,000 mass kill, just going to continue to deal economic damage. Seems as though Turbo Laser Wolf is going to be the one taking the brunt of this economic attack coming out from Caver, who is just doing his damnedest to try and cut down his enemies at the knees. A bunch of T1 AA. Now there's some T3 AA out on the field. That's going to make it very, very difficult, as T3 air has finished up now for Mighty Gorgon. The reign of terror that has come out from these strap bombers does seem to be coming to an end, but there is still one more out onto the field, one more trying to cut down the economies, as Beholder is up to over 100 mass a second themselves. Team 1 and Team 2 down to just a few tens of mass a second difference between them. Team 2 still has an overwhelming total mass generation lead, as more strap bombers continue to come out. More mechs is going down now for Axon Saxon. Axon Saxon, it's a disaster. They just didn't have air, and you can see all of these mechs points out from Axon Saxon that have just been absolutely obliterated by the air pressure coming out from Caver. And in comes the strap bomber, was maybe going to try and get itself a kill onto this T2 mech that's heavily being assisted but was not quite able to drop its bomb in time before the AA picked it up. And with that, the air aggression coming out from this blue team, it's going to be halted at least for the moment. But overall, T3 land now finished up for Beholder, starting to throw out Harbingers. T3 land also, I would assume, going to be on the way here soon for Caver, unless he's just going to leave all of the land fighting down towards Beholder. But Beholder and Caver still looking like they're in a rough position. All of these mechs is being rebuilt. Turbo Laser Wolf now to 13,000 reclaim. Mighty Gorgon up to 12,000. A lot of reclaim was dropped in form of strat bombers near his base, so he's going to be happy about that. Like this strat bomber right here. Ooh, juicy, juicy reclaim. And overall, Beholder and Caver, they're struggling, but they are surviving still. The tactical missile upgrade out for Caver, not really getting too much value. He's only killed 1,900 mass, but he's throwing out more tactical missiles, killing off a radar on the front lines. Not sure how effective that'll be, especially considering that Mighty Gorgon could definitely just throw up a Omni if he so felt like it. Beholder up to 5 ranks of vet on the commander, seemingly holding most of the map, this northern side of the map with just the commander. Haven't seen large armies out from either Caver or Beholder. Both of them going to be sitting on relatively strong economies. Beholder the strongest economy in the game as he starts to just pump out a bunch of Harbingers. And he's getting up a T3 power generator as we speak. But down here to the south, all of these mechs are being cannibalized by Mighty Gorgon and Turbo Laser Wolf, and now Mighty Gorgon, sitting at 130 mass a second, is going to be very happy with the progress he's managed to make economically in the past couple of minutes. Axon Saxon, though, is looking really rough after losing all those mass extractors. Just doesn't really seem to have the build power in these areas to rebuild those mechs super quickly, and even if he did, they'd all be T1. He's just very much so hurting, but he is being the punching bag for his ally Mighty Gorgon to get a possible economic cudgel together. More strat bombers now coming out now for Caver, and he's going to be able to come down here. He's going to be able to get another T2 mechs, but that might just be it as another wave of ASF come down to kill off that strat bomber. And we're looking at a bit of an attack forming down here in the south. We have a large T1 army. That's not really going to be able to do too much, but if you get enough units kind of conglomerated over here, if we get to maybe some T3 land out for Turbo Laser Wolf, that could be huge. Mighty Gorgon still ecoing very well, getting a lot of T3 mexes now online, and that could be dangerous. As Chrono Dampener now going to be on the way for Beholder. He's using these Harbingers here in the middle to get quite a little bit done. Just making sure that he's able to hold on to that area. I'm guessing what we're going to see here is a Chrono Harbinger push, maybe up here towards the base of Axon Saxon. Beholder sending mass over to Caver, who I'm curious what Caver is trying to do here. Not quite sure. It doesn't seem as though Beholder is able to spend all of the mass that they are producing currently. Is even getting up more T3 mexes as we speak. But the game has stagnated a little bit. The team 2 just doesn't seem to have a huge amount of units to actually throw at Team 1, despite having economic advantage this entire game. And Team 1 is somewhat in the same boat. Both of them have very good shields, but none of them has a sword which is able to penetrate the defenses of the other. Both sides have had all of this time to kind of turtle up and protect themselves, and they've been dealing with some relatively dangerous attacks, but nothing is really on the offensive side for either of these teams that's going to be super useful. We do have a lot of units now coming down to the south out from Caver. He's going to try and set his units up to get rid of some of this extra auxiliary economy that Turbo Laser Wolf and Mighty Gorgon have managed to set up to steal away from their side of the map. Chrono Dampener does manage to finish up over here to the north for Beholder, but that's a bunch of Harbingers, and honestly, I don't know what's going to be able to stop these Harbingers. Sure, you have some T2 PD, but T2 PD aren't going to stop Harbingers. It's just like mass for mass. I'm pretty sure the Harbinger wins that exchange. As over here to the south, that's going to be a lot of dead units coming out here for Caver. And that's a lot of units over here for Turbo Laser Wolf, which could be very dangerous very soon. And Beholder and Caver just sitting in their corner trying to hold off everything. Curious to see what they're going to do, and also very curious to see what Mighty Gorgon's going to do, sitting on a very strong economy. Not sure what he is throwing it into, though, other than more mechs upgrades. Not seeing any, like, experimental coming online. We do have an experimental started up now for Beholder. It's going to build very slowly, but that GC will eventually complete. He is still sitting on a very strong economy, 154 mass a second. As he sends his comm down south, maybe worried about an attack out from Turbo Laser Wolf. Might want to use the commander to deal with that. The commander of Caver is going down here to launch a tactical missile. Wonder what that's going to go for. There are some T2 mechs down here which are under great threat. And it does seem as though it's going for this T2 mechs. Does Caver know how many of these are T2 mechs? No, he doesn't. Would love to see some air scouting coming out from, honestly, either of these teams. Both of them kind of unsure what the other one's doing. The map is dark and full of terrors, as it were. A few Spectre gunships coming down here to the south to try and deal some damage to this large force coming out from Turbo Laser Wolf, but this force isn't really all that scary. It's mostly T1 units. Occasional Rhino thrown in, but one Rhino or two Rhinos isn't even going to be able to get into the base with all of the PD here. As up to the north, the Harbinger count has seemingly stopped growing, as a whole bunch of focus now being thrown on building this GC. And the two commanders coming out from Team 1 trying to get some damage. That tactical missile did manage to kill off that mass extractor. There was a big air fight over here. It's still going on. Hard to say who exactly is winning this, but there's more reinforcements coming out from both sides. I do think that Mighty Gorgon just straight up loses that right there. And Caver is just seemingly going to come down and lay down the law, trying to push Turbo's forces back by himself. Air fight is really telling. Meanwhile, over here to the east, Spider now on the way, so it's Beholder and Mighty Gorgon getting into that experimental phase of the game, but the GC is just going to be slower. He has less economy to begin with, and now he is fighting against somebody with more economy and build power to throw at that Monkey Lord, and he's also not building any, like, T3... Well, he is building T3 land. Look at that. There's some loyalists. And down here to the south, Beholder, he's just walking down. He's like, hey, I dare you to fight me. Come on, I got Chrono. 136 kills, that's ridiculous. These loyalists and maybe these Ilshivas could be very scary. That commander is very, very isolated right now. Needs to be careful, but does have air control, does have protection in the skies coming from his ally Caver. And down comes a bunch of loyalists. There are now some Ilshivas, along with a large T1 force coming out from Axon Saxon, who is confident in his defensive capabilities, but these Harbingers pushing forward, this army is the only thing that would really protect him there. He's going to be in a bit of a... I mean, maybe this main base might be a bit much for this many Harbingers, but pushing into this might be possible. But he also has that commander, which does have nano, speed and range, T3, so he's probably not risking too much, especially if he has some energy storage already built up. As over here to the south, large force now going to be trying to pressure that commander out from Beholder. He really is just... He's using Chrono to the fullest, and you all know me, I love watching an ACU with Chrono just go to work. And now all of the units going to start trying to come in on towards that commander, but there's now some Othams out from his ally Caver. They waited too long to try and pounce onto that commander. These loyalists not going to last long under concerted effort from those Othams. Although one of those Othams does go down to focus fire out from the loyalists. Another one going to go down. Beholder walking back, trying to use these Othams as shields, trying to help the DPS of the Othams just by stunning up everything over here. such a beautiful game. And with that, I mean, that might just be enough. There's a lot of Othams coming out of this base. This is looking a little bit scary for this Southern team. I mean, there's a lot of T3 coming out, but that's a lot of Othams. They have some PD to fall back to. That's Chrono coming out from Beholder, which is just giving so much value. And now we're looking at a situation where there's 14,000 reclaim right here. There's just a ton of reclaim, and this is just going to be area that's going to be controlled by the blue team. There's now a Monkey Lord completed. The GC going to complete at almost the same time. Not sure how that Monkey Lord didn't just win the race, but a GC versus a Monkey Lord, I'll take the GC 11 days out of 10. And this is looking very scary now all of a sudden for this secondary team, for Red Team. It's looking dangerous. They don't know it yet, but they are really getting close to the jaws of defeat. This GC and the Harbinger push in the north is going to be a scary sight to behold. And in the south, we have an awesome Chronocom push, which is just looking unstoppable. They're pushing back. They're going to be pushing down into this area where there's a bunch of T2 mexes built up for Turbo Laser Wolf. And yes, there is going to be a Monkey Lord, which could threaten the Commander of Beholder, but that's still a GC in the north that just doesn't have an answer right now. There's nothing in the north that can stop this GC. Sure, there's some PD, but what are you going to do about that? Axon Saxon, he's in a lot of trouble here. What's he going to do? Does he know that's a GC? He's going to start running away, but now the GC is revealed. And that's going to be a very scary sight for the Maroon Seraphim. Oh no, the Utashalas are focusing the GC, and that's a mistake. They need to focus down the Harbingers. The Harbingers are the main bulk of the DPS right here. And Axon Saxon going to go down to the giant face laser of the GC there. The most beautiful sight to see. A Seraphim Commander exploding at the hands of an Aeon Experimental. And now Harbinger's down here trying to stop Ilshiva's down here trying to stop some of these reinforcements that were out for Axon Saxon. And over here to the main base of Axon Saxon, now Mighty Gorgon. That T3 land production gonna go down. Where is the Monkey Lord? The Monkey Lord is gonna try and come up and fight the GC, but that might just be a mistake. I think you have to use the Monkey Lord to get damage done here to go for the two commanders, because the GC wins that fight. Even with 79,000 HP, which is it having lost a bunch of HP. As long as the GC starts firing quick and early onto that Monkey Lord, that's just a win. Down here to the southwest, Otham's continuing to get damage done. That Commander of Beholder nearing 200 units killed is going to go home and retire, it would seem. It's had a very long and successful military career. The laser of the GC giving us a laser light show, going back and forth as it now locks on to the Monkey Lord. But the Monkey Lord has to get closer for its laser to enable. That shield does go down, but the Monkey Lord versus the GC, as I said, you take this every single time. The Monkey Lord gonna get close to killing that GC, but the Monkey Lord will die first. And that's gonna be very painful now for Mighty Gorgon, who is still dealing with 23,000 HP of angry Laser Boy bearing down on his base. And now Turbo Laser Wolf and Mighty Gorgon in a mighty difficult position. I don't know why my team didn't eco. Mighty Gorgon's getting salty in chat. Axon Saxon is over here like, well, I got all of my eco strap bombed. And then, yeah, well, because the bomber, I told you he'd say it. Don't say I'm not a psychic, because I can tell you the future. I didn't even read the chat in this replay whenever I reviewed it. He's like, I got bombed back to T1. I told you what his excuse was going to be before he even said it. That's how good I am. The GC walking in, the impending doom approaching. Mighty Gorgon control Ks. He did try and get up enough gunships to deal with this, but it's just not going to be enough as some Coronas out from Beholder, who has managed to get T3 air now, show up to protect that GC. Not that this many gunships would kill this GC very quickly, especially with it about to get another rank of veterancy. And just a couple more structures. If it kills off pretty much any of these T3 structures, gives it another rank of veterancy. Yep, and that's gonna be it. That's gonna be the end of the game. Just K yellow. Its vet is way too high since it killed the fatty. It killed what fatty? It didn't kill the fatty. It killed a monkey lord, Gorgon. You're losing the script here. Your salt has enraged you too much. You're blind to the facts. But will Turbo Laser Wolf, will he control? Yeah, he will. Thank you all for watching. You've been beautiful. Thank you for being patient with me. I know there hasn't been a lot of content. I was very sick after Thanksgiving. I caught something. I didn't go to the doctor, but I was a bit bedridden. I'm still recovering a little bit, but we're good. We're good now, and you all are so beautiful, and we're going to be having a lot of casts on the channel coming very, very soon. This is going to be the first of them. After this, I want to have many casts in the next coming days, so make sure you get your notifications turned on by subscribing and hitting the bell, and make sure you like this video. And thank you to the Patreons and channel members who help me so much and support me so much. It's amazing what you guys do. This is Willow, signing off.
But if I lay down and I play dead and I stay dead